Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Well, to the Americans among us, happy Thanksgiving weekend. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, 19% of all annual retail sales in the United States will take place. Some $960 billion sales between Thanksgiving and Christmas. That number, by the way, is just 4 times Elon Musk's net worth. Just saying. On the Friday after Thanksgiving, a day called Black Friday, some 131 million Americans went shopping. Why is it called Black Friday? You know why? Because many businesses will move into the black and thus become profitable just because of this one weekend immediately following Thanksgiving. By the way, on Thursday evening, December 7th, Hanukkah begins. I am told that the sale of dreidels is expected to be robust, especially of those who prefer the lettering Nes Gadol Haya Po. A great miracle happened here, and we are praying for that miracle. Each week since October 7th, I began this posting with a prayer for the hostages, a prayer for Israel's security, a prayer for the victims of October 7th massacre, and a prayer for the relief of suffering among Jews and Palestinians, especially among the children. This weekend, I pray that the obviously imperfect, deeply flawed agreement between Israel and Hamas will yield unexpectedly positive results. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May such an outcome reflect the shared will both of God and of humankind. Our Sedra, VaYetzei, Genesis 28:10 and following. Jacob is fleeing the brother he deceived, Esau. Exhausted, Jacob dreams of a ladder reaching heavenward with angels ascending and descending. Awakening, Jacob realizes that he had just encountered Sha'ar Hashamayim, heaven's gateway, and that he has received a powerful set of promises and blessings from God. Continuing his flight, Jacob comes to a well. Aha! In the standard approach of Genesis, if you come to a well, a new love is about to blossom. Check it out. It just like always happens. Jacob falls in love with Rachel at that well, but later comes to understand that he has unwittingly married Rachel's sister, Leah. 2 maidservants are added to this little community, and soon enough, 12 sons, including Joseph, eventually will be born, 1 daughter. By the end of our Sedra, Jacob realizes that he has no choice but to meet Esau, an incredibly dangerous act that we'll read about next week. Our themes are obvious. Multiple deceptions at the heart of a family, and the impact of those deceptions on what will someday become the Jewish people. There is no heroic backdrop for the origins of the Jewish people in Genesis, and may I state, no overt divine plan. Filled with dreams, powered by ambition, we kind of stumble into our own future. That's what we Jews did at the start, stumble into our own future. We meet a Jacob here who has somehow absorbed some of Esau's traits. Jacob is now bold, assertive, risk-taking. Jacob's dreams transform his spine. His new name, Israel, declares his capabilities. He is a God wrestler. It is Jacob who is the first in our history to experience exile, and he survives it. It is Jacob who chooses his wife and fights for her. It is Jacob who is tricked by his father-in-law during the night and in the darkness. It is also Jacob who is unafraid to push back even against angels. It might be for that reason alone that the rabbis granted to Jacob the right to be the inventor of Ma'ariv, the evening daily prayer. Aviva Zornberg focuses on the threats and promises of nightfall when we speak about Jacob. You know, Jacob is the first human being in the Bible to pray in the dark. Jacob. Darkness gives Jacob occasions for intimacy with God. Darkness provides Jacob with an opportunity to dream, and it is from those dreams that new worlds will be born. In his dreams, Jacob discovers that God is in this place, wherever this place happens to be. In his dreams, Jacob comes to understand that he cannot forever escape the challenge of meeting with a brother whom Jacob assumes is just waiting to murder him. Sleep is something that human beings have in common with animals. It is a base physical need. But for Jacob, the sleep shines a brilliant light on the power of transcendence, the power to overcome. In his sleep, Jacob, as it were, becomes at one with the angels. Jacob, angels, they kind of become one. It is Jacob who will ascend that ladder to heaven. It is Jacob who comes down, returns to earth to do what he realizes now must be done. Jacob's seed will spread over the earth. Jacob's earthly home will become terra sancta, the holy land for millions and millions of people. It will also become the blood-soaked battleground for which vast numbers have fought and died, and for which vast numbers continue to fight and to die. Zornberg relates a midrash that, quite frankly, I had long ago forgotten. When an exhausted Jacob was about to have his dream of a ladder stretching heavenwards with angels ascending and descending, he came to a place, exhausted as he was, that was legendary within his family. Where was he, according to this midrash? Mount Moriah, where Abraham attempted to sacrifice Jacob's father, Isaac. It was a place of dread memory and fear. It was a rocky place. Jacob, in the midrash, piled together a dozen stones to create a pillow and a bed. And he slept. And he had this dream. But when he awakened, Jacob discovered that though he had brought together 12 separate stones to make his bed and pillow, now those stones had fused together. They had become one. Inspired by his dream, midrash, inspired by his dream, Jacob drove that stone deeply into the earth. It became the foundation stone, the Evan Shatia of the world. Look at what the rabbis have done here. A place of fear and of dreadful memories has become a place where 12 become one, where the 12 sons of Jacob will become one people. And that people was destined to transform the world, to become the foundation stone of human existence. Terror becomes joy. The solitary figure on his first night of exile was sleeping on a fused stone that was intended to declare the end of isolation. God would be with Jacob. God would be with his descendants wherever they might live, whenever they might cry out. Zornberg, no night would ever be too dark to deny God's entrance into our lives. Jacob fled and discovered that he would never be alone. Jacob took simple stones and fused them into a statement regarding the power that the Jewish people has each and every time that we choose unity over competitiveness and harmony over disharmony. Jacob embraced the darkness, even while knowing that deception is much easier to practice in the dark. But in the quiet of the night, Jacob discovered that one has the opportunity to come to know oneself. And in isolation, there is always room and an opportunity to connect. My friends, I end with this thought. In the darkness of our own days, Jacob has yet much to teach us. Be clear. We too can embrace the real darkness in our world and come to know our souls. We can accept isolation and know that when we work our way through isolation, we will create connections that will make a worthy life possible. Again, I say, Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. May this be our will. Shabbat Shalom. See you next week.